Skeletal remains have been discovered among the debris of a fire that ravaged 3 homes, including an apartment building at Plaisance on Friday last. Saturday afternoon, firefighters were called back to the scene by residents after an 80-year-old man who lived in the apartment could not be found, and the suspicion was that he had been trapped in the blaze. Fire Prevention Officer Andrew Holder explains.
Firefighting activities took us through the entire night last evening, up to about 2-something. When we left the scene this morning, there were no reports. However, on my return to the scene, the commencement of my investigation, it was reported to me that a relative is missing and he cannot be accounted for. After several checks with different family members turn up empty-handed, we decided to thoroughly comb the debris. Upon doing so, I uncovered the remains of a body.
Even though the skeletal remains found inside the gutted building are yet to be positively identified, the remains are suspected to be those of 80-year-old James Johnson, a father of 7. The fire reportedly started in a section of the apartment building where Johnson lived.
The area in which the body is found, I understand from a resident of the home that an elderly person lived there, and a 82-year-old gentleman by the name of James Johnson. Right.
While not determining the cause of the blaze, Mr. Holder explained that residents had extinguished several fires coming from the section where Johnson lived.
This morning, a gentleman from down the back was telling me that on several occasions he had the cars to come upstairs to the said elder gentleman's apartment as a result of him forgetting something on the stove and, activities like that. Wow. What I can say for sure is that this building being a multi-occupancy building, the wiring, the electrical installation was not of its best.
Johnson's teary-eyed daughter was called to the scene. She was asked whether she was able to identify the remains.
Like 2:30, my sister, last night in case, my sister called and asked if he's at me, and I tell her no. And she said they ain't finding him. It had some fire and they ain't finding him. So just now we get now that they tell us to come down and check. And this is what we put up with.
Okay, you saw the remains?
Yeah.
And you saw the remains and you have identified him as the father?
I can't, you can't identify. All you see is just the backbone.
The fire erupted Friday afternoon and displaced more than 30 persons. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.